Hey family, welcome to 15 Minutes of Bedlam. We have a special treat for you today, coming live from Arcadia Studios in Myrtle Beach. We're going to be interviewing DeeCee.
Driving 200 miles to dance for 40 minutes doesn't make a lot of sense for late conforming cynics. They really have no idea of the beauty in our lives. But when Derek plays that hardcore beat, we leave the world behind. I wouldn't trade this night with you for $1 billion. Just see you dancing there, it's enough to make a rock hill boy hum.
So it's my pleasure to be here with DeeCee today. DeeCee, thank you for being on the podcast.
Chuck, brother, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
We really appreciate having you here.
Being here.
So we have a very close relationship in that we're in two bands together.
We
and
are.
counting, really.
We are.
But we're in Bedlam Hour together,
Yes.
and we're in SmallCityRock.
SmallCityRock, of course.
And we met through the music industry right here in Myrtle Beach.
Right here in the growing Myrtle Beach scene. That's
Yes.
rebirth.
It really
Rebirth.
is. It could be a regeneration even.
Regeneration indeed.
So I want to get a little bit of your backstory. I know that you're from up north from New Jersey. Would you talk a little bit about how you came up, your musical influences, and what brought you to Myrtle Beach?
Okay, well, I'm originally from New Jersey. New Brunswick, New Jersey is the home of many great bands. But growing up, I got to see punk rock and hardcore shows, seeing Thursday and God Forbid and all sorts of bands come around. They'd come up in that area of the New Brunswick scene. My town, North Brunswick, was maybe a town over, so we were the next bus ride in, and we could see anything under the sun, metal, death metal, always a show going on a weekend. So by the age of 16, I was playing in bands, punk bands. Took me off my first regional tour, up and down, the East Coast. And that's where I fell in love and actually playing. And after that, putting together my own band, did a lot of metal, did a lot of heavy metal, all the chords. I played
Right.
I've covered all the bases as far as the chords go, math core and rock core, yeah, all of the chords. Just played for anything I could get my hands on. I played with and played for, and it was fun times. And after that, I moved out to Myrtle Beach for family. My in-laws moved out here, and I didn't see much music happening, so I decided, what can I do to help create more music? And that was pretty much the birth idea of what the studio was. And a lot of people were, mainly rap and hip hop guys, were bringing me their CDs and stuff, and I was like, these don't sound that great, And knowing that this area had a lack of professionalism in that specific niche market, I wanted to bring that, and that's where the Arcadia Studios vision was born.
Well, how long have y'all been over here at Arcadia Studios?
This location has been 3 years.
Okay, all
But
right.
I've been recording here in Myrtle Beach for almost 10.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So how have things changed in that 10 years, particularly with the hip-hop scene?
A lot of the guys now they're able to not only formulate a lot of their ideas at home and then come in and work quickly, so my mode has to match that. So I have to be able to operate just as quick, because if they're not getting a value that they can just do it at home, then what's the point of going to a studio? And that's a lot of people. It's just, you can afford equipment now to work at home, and if you can get the knowledge and do it, absolutely. But if I can provide value and professionalism to what you're doing, I can take some of that off the table. I'm going to hire a plumber. Can I look it up on YouTube? I can look it up on YouTube and figure out how to fix the sink. I just would rather have the plumber do it.
I understand.
He'd probably get it right on the first shot. So, and that's the kind of mentality I needed to go in of that with the hip hop scene and stuff like that. But a lot has grown, and they're able to put out their own music on distribution, and things work a lot quicker than they used to.
Well, that's
Definitely.
excellent.
Yeah.
So I'd love for you to talk about some of the artists in the area. I had the pleasure of meeting Eat and even being in his video.
Yeah, Eat's great. Well, I work with a ton of different artists. We just over the last 2 years, we've gotten more into band and rock, metal, punk rock, doing a lot of recording for them as well. But going back, I started working with artists like Big Chris the Lyricist, K-Bird is one of them from that area. Doe Stacks, Doe Stacks got a great podcast, by the way. You should check him out.
Those Stacks podcast. Y'all check that out.
Yeah. He's got several podcasts. He even has a cooking show. Great
Man,
show.
amazing. That's an idea when you talk about that.
Yeah. All those guys just bloomed into other artists, and word of mouth just kind of went from there. I've worked with Dually Truck. And through him, he brought me tracks from artist named Boosie Badass, who's pretty popular.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
right.
nowadays.
Yeah.
So I've done stuff with them. The 3-6 Mafia guys. K-Bird brought me some stuff to work with them. So I've been blessed to be able to work with a whole bunch of different styles of artists. Singing rappers, I do a lot of that. The melodic stuff is getting popular too.
Right.
So they want to sing, and I've gone from working with these kids that have never sung in their life to now they're putting out songs where the melodies are really good and they're experimenting with melodies. I've worked with a lot of reggae artists over the last couple of years, and a style called rhythm.
Right. Okay.
Rhythm.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
And dance hall. So
Right.
those are the more popular stuff with that. And even Hispanic artists been doing the trap and the trapatone, which is the reggae tone and trap music together. So it's just been really interesting and fun to just be able to work with a large blend of styles and not just be stuck with one genre.
So getting to travel with you, getting to record with you, and really getting to know you as a friend and as a brother, both musically and spiritually, you have a real gift for working with people. How did you develop your soft skills to be able to relate with different types of artists, to manage a business, to run a tour? How does all that work?
Well, it took a lot of growth. I mean, as far as being in a lot of bands over the time of my course of my life, I've been in a lot of bands, and at the beginning you realize how much of a struggle it is because you want everything to be like the way you want it. And it's hard because this is your baby, but you've got to understand this is everyone else's as well.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't kick in until much later. So probably in my mid to late 20s is when I started realizing I need to let this happen more organically. So I was in a band called Tortured Throne. It was my last project before I moved here. And we made an honest commitment to make everything happen organically. Let's not push the envelope. Whatever the sound is whatever the sound is. Whatever this guy wants to do, we'll try. We're not blocking any ideas. And that's where we just came up with that. Our last album that we put out was called Gaia. And that was just our earthly communication of, it was, so Gaia's Mother Earth, essentially.
Right, sure.
And everything had to come natural for us. And that's where we were back to basics on that kind of lane. So me being able to learn that skill was through that process. On top of that, working for a lot of different businesses and being in management for a long time, I know how to work with different types of people. Sometimes you got to lay back. Sometimes you got to lean in. And those things you learn just by meeting people and working with people. And once you realize that not everybody works in the same way, you need to be able to pivot.
Right, that makes sense.
You need to be able to pivot on how on the dime.
Well, there's something so magical about music and about songwriting and about playing.
Yeah.
I was just thinking today, I was riding up here and I was just thinking about songs that take me personally to another place, to another experience. And one that I was listening to was Fountains of Wayne, Amity Gardens.
Oh man.
Everything about the song, the storytelling, the production, every bass note, the guitar tone, the drum groove, everything takes you somewhere else. It takes you to the story they're telling. And I just find that to be...
It's a great song.
Oh, so
Fountains
good.
of Wayne is phenomenal. Now, what's funny is my wife and I were just talking about Fountains of Wayne.
Really?
We in Cranford, New Jersey, it's about maybe 3 towns from where we were living in Elizabeth at the time, we stumbled across a concert, outdoor concert. It was Fountains of Wayne, Chuck Berry, and the Smithereens.
Oh my gosh, you talk about 3 amazing artists.
Oh, and live plays that night too.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So
We missed
good.
live, okay? We must have missed Chuck Berry, which I wish we must have got the last bit of his set because I remember that. But we were trying to figure out what date it was. 2007, September 15th, and we looked it up when we saw their playlist and everything. It was awesome. But yeah, seeing Fountains of Wayne was truly awesome, and the Smithereens.
Oh man, 2 transformative bands.
Yes.
I was lucky to see both of them. I saw the Smithereens in '86 at the Bayou in DC opening for the Ramones.
Oh.
And then I saw Fountains of Wayne, and that was 2011.
Mm-hmm.
And shout out Fountains of Wayne. You
Fountains
guys
of
were
Wayne.
so inspirational. We saw you in your hometown for your benefit for your hometown theater. And shout out to Jody Porter from South Carolina, their guitar player, who's now putting out a new record. But they were so nice. This was, sort of the early days of the internet.
Mm-hmm.
And when Dylan and Flannery were growing up, we always listened to Fountains of Wayne.
Yeah.
That was our family band. And so Dylan was going to turn 16, and that was her favorite band of all time. And I was able to do a little Googling, and I found their road manager, John, and their management company. And they were so kind and gracious. They said, hey, listen, come up for Dylan's 16th birthday and come meet the band. And so they had this elaborate thing all worked out where we were going to act like John and I were old friends, and we actually got to meet the band, to hang with them. They brought her up on stage. She got to play percussion on Hey Julia, and they sang Happy Birthday. And those guys did not have to do that. They were
that's awesome.
one night off Letterman. They were leaving for Japan for Fuji Rock the next day, and they made time to do that. So to me, as an artist back in rock and roll after 27 years, things like that have been very inspirational. And then also playing with Fugazi back in the day, and just seeing how Ian Mackay interacts with his fans,
Mm-hmm.
and how he's so kind and actually practices active listening. Those things have been a huge influence on me. And I see those same exact qualities in you. I've heard so many positive things from our audience, from other musicians, about your positive energy, your enthusiasm, and your talent.
Thank you. I find it important I used to be a frontman myself, so I find it kind of hard to not engage the audience.
I love it.
So I have to choose my spots, So if I find, that people are engaged in what I'm doing, I'm going to ham it up as hard as I can, so this way we can all have a good time. So, dancing and included. Maybe this performance may suffer a little bit, but it's fun.
No, you do
as
an
long as it
amazing
stays
job.
fun. But yeah, it's important to, I'm not on stage just to look at the sky and play the notes. That is so boring to me. I find, you come to a live show, I want to be there with...
You want to be alive.
I want the crowd to feel something. I want them to feel something back. I'm going to feedback off the feedback, and it'll just be a big feedback loop between me and the audience, and vice versa. So we've had many shows where it's just people start dancing and I'm dancing.
I know that I have seen some amazing dancing right here at Arcadia Studios at so many of the great rock shows that you've had here. And I know you have all kinds of events. Would you talk a little bit about the studio recording here, and also the events facility that you have?
Sure.
Here, the venue.
So the whole idea of the building was to be able to create a space for people to come in and just have a good time, promote art of any type, any kind, and promote people. And there wasn't a lot of that in the area. So we decided to provide it. The shows were an afterthought. We never thought that we'd ever host shows, and it became a thing. We've linked up with, there's a local conglomerate that puts together, promotes their own shows, Myrtle Beach shows, check them out. They've been doing a lot of punk, hardcore shows and metal shows, and they've been going really great here. It's fun. It's a safe environment, which is paramount for me. We make sure that everybody stays safe and everybody's having a good time. No matter who you are, where you come from, what you look like, you're welcome through these doors. The end.
Well, and that means so much to me too, because there's just a feeling of safety, of love, of connection, and of acceptance when you come to shows out here. And speaking of shows at Arcadia Studios, we want everybody out there to join us for the 15 Minutes of Bedlam Fest
15 Minutes of Bedlam
on August 17th. It's an all-ages show with 11 hardcore bands for $20, and it starts at 6 p.m. and it ends at 12:30 a.m. And it's going to be an amazing time, and we're going to have so many great bands representing North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia. We've got Eaten by Crows, we've got Corrupt Faith, we've got Bazooka Joe, we've got Heavy for the Vintage, we've got Bedlam Hour, we've got Love You Dead, we've got Buried in Terror, we've got Brandy and the Butcher, we've got Squirt Vial, we've got One Last Hurrah.
Yes.
We've got so many great bands, so
many.
many amazing bands.
So many.
Oh, we've got Resident Aliens.
Hey.
We've
I know
got,
them.
oh my gosh, Charleston's finest. We've got a couple more in there too.
More.
Anyway, we got so many great bands. We want you guys to come out. We're going to be promoting that show as well. And also, in Bedlam Hour, we have a brand new record coming out on July 1st. It's called No Grave Required, and we'll be launching that tour August 10th at New Brooklyn Tavern in Columbia. And we are in a band with our good friend Brian McKenzie and also our musical brother SmallCityRock. We're a garage rock band. We've got our brand new debut album coming out as well. So I see a lot of this guy right here.
Be on the lookout for all of that stuff.
So I want to thank you again for being here today, my
Thank
brother.
you, Chuck, brother.
DeeCee. Good to have DeeCee here.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us. 15 Minutes of Bedlam, South Carolina indie punk and alternative culture, past, present, and future. Final words, my brother.
Check out Arcadia Studios, mb.com. We're right here in Myrtle Beach. If you need anything audio, video, and in between, let us know.
Thanks, guys. Peace and love.